We're now standing in the southwest corner of St. Peter's Church at Barton upon Humber. The church is generally known as a two-part church. The part on the left, the tower, and the annex to the left is the old St. Peter's, which we're particularly interested in. The larger building to the right is the medieval St. Peter's Church, known as New St. Peter's. Old St. Peter's, the tower and the annex to the left, has interested antiquarians since the Middle Ages. But really, the brew stoned up in the late 18th, early 19th century, when a great debate arose about whether there were any standing Anglo-Saxon buildings remaining. One school of thought was quite adamant, no, there can't be. The Anglo-Saxons built in wood, everything they built will have long since rotted away. Another school said there might be some somewhere, but we really don't know where they are. In the early 19th century, a gentleman called Thomas Rickman must have stood more or less where I'm standing today. He immediately noticed that the tower is in two clear parts. At the top, the unrendered part, at the top, he could recognise from previous experience as definitely very early Norman in date. And so Rickman thought, if that is very early Norman, the part below, which is incredibly different, very, very different indeed, couldn't have been built 10 minutes before the top part. It must have been built some decades before that top part. So he went home and he wrote his very famous seminal work, An Attempt to Discriminate the Styles of Architecture in England. The crucial paragraph he wrote, on the top of the three stages at Barton St. Peter's is one evidently early Norman, having a regular double normal window in it with a shaft and a capital in the middle. The lower part also has a double window with round arches and divided by something exactly resembling a rude baluster. All this arrangement, so different from the top Norman work, there seems a probability that the lower part of the tower is really Saxon. Like any building, one starts with the foundations. Once the site was cleansed, trenches about 3 feet deep and 3 feet wide were built to take the weight of the tower. These were packed with local chalk stone to find a solid footing for the building. The building then on top what was constructed. Obviously what's needed is stone, and in this case at Barton upon Humber, two types of stone were used. The bulk of the tower is built with local limestone, rubble limestone blocks, which could be got from quite close up on the Lincoln edge, just to the east of Scunthorpe. All along that edge you'd get the limestone. The other stone, which at Barton here forms the foundations, the very foundations of the building at ground level, the pilasters, as we called, the decorative strips which run up from the base up to the later tower, unrendered tower at the top, The doorways and the windows, the two bottom windows, are all made of Yorkshire millstone grit. This is the south doorway into the tower, which the congregation may have gone through into their nave where they worshipped. The surrounding is all constructed with reused millstone grits. At the top here are the voussoirs. They're the arch at the top, and you'll notice perhaps that all the stones, the voussoirs and the jorms of the doorway here go through the thickness of the wall. So in a way, without them knowing it, the Romans, when they sold these stones, decided the thickness of the tower here at Barton upon Humber. How do we know these millstone grits were of Roman date, cut by the Romans? Well, there are various pieces of evidence. One of them we see here. Cut into the bottom of this stone is a groove, and then behind that is a hollow which goes right into the wall. Now, that would have originally in the Roman building, would have an identical mate alongside it, so that they could accommodate an iron clamp, and they would be used, of course, to protect an overhanging cornice in something like a Roman temple or triumphal arch. As it is now, of course, it would never be used like that in the Roman period. That stone would have to be flat with its partner alongside it holding the cornice. That groove and hole there was cut by a Romano-Briton at an unknown date, but presumably between the 1st and the 4th century. If we now consider the tower starting from the bottom going upwards, you'll see the first stage consists of 5 pilastered arcades. Above that we get another arcade, this time however with triangular tops, not round tops. And in the middle of them we've got a double opening window. The double opening window is placed in the middle of the layer of pilasters below. And because of the wide door, you can see the symmetry is ruined, and that window is not in the middle of the wall. Above that is a string course running across the tower, on which sits 2 little triangular headed windows. That was the belfry, and it was out of those triangular windows that the sound of the bells would resonate over the town. Actually, I don't think it would resonate very loudly, because in those days we're not talking about Big Ben up there, we're talking about probably 2 little things the size of buckets. So that is the belfry stage. Immediately after the conquest, the Normans decided this pathetic little church was too small. They knocked down the chancel, which lay to the east of the building, built this enormous medieval church here to the east, and the building of that meant the tower was overshadowed by the new building. You want a tower to stand proud, so to make it stand proud they had to add the top, the unrendered block at the top. And of course that involved moving the bells from the old belfry with the triangular headed windows up to the new belfry on the top stage.